One of my favourites at the show is this 1921 Dot. It has a 2.5 horsepower JAP engine, and a common misconception is that that means it's a Japanese engine. It actually stands for JA Prestwick Industries, who is a well-renowned English engine builder. Their engines ended up in a lot of different brands because the quality was there. I'm absolutely smitten with this motorcycle. I love its speedo. It goes up to 65 miles an hour. So back in the day, if it could achieve that, it's pretty impressive. And I love the cogs that power the speedo near the front drive. I love these old bikes. I'm really getting quite keen on them, and I'm hoping one day I'm going to get to own one myself. Some of the things that really get me excited is the speedo. Okay, this is analog. So look at how the mileage, so instead of the mileage being in a row and being easy to rotate, look how they're all in separate heights. Just the watchmaker quality, being able to create something that cool. And then when we come down to here, it reminds me of a dynamo that I would have on my pedal bike when I'd go to school in the mornings. I was lucky enough to earn a bit of pocket money through doing gardening to be able to have a dynamo which would run off of the outer tread of the tyre. But look at the wear. Apart from a little bit of chipping on the inside, this ancient motorcycle doesn't have that much wear, and that looks like it is built to last. Some of the other things worthy of note, if you don't know much about these bikes, is here. That is a little pump, which you pump up and down, and in there is a little dripper, and you would watch the rate of oil dripping. Yes, this isn't just a gas tank, it is part petrol, part oil, and you would watch the flow of oil dripping through there, which would then lubricate your crank, because this is what's called a total loss system. I'll just bring you around the other side. So you've got oil dripping to the crank to lubricate it. You've got a tap here and a tap here with oil going into the head to lubricate valves, I guess, side valves. But then look at the crankcases, so you can see the split. So back then, materials weren't up to today's standards. If it had a gasket at all, it would be made of cork. And of course, with heat and use, the gaskets would fail. Oil would just drip out the bottom of the bike. Don't know if we can actually see any of that. Looks like a pretty clean one, unless it doesn't have any oil in it. So before you start your bike, you have to make sure that taps on, that taps on. That you primed your dripper. And your gear change is here on a lever. Twin speed Albion gearbox. You can tell by the fact that there's two choices. Absolutely wonderful. And look at the exposed valves. These are things that in modern bikes would be hidden away, and the fact that you have adjustability, carburetors that don't have filters on them, because it just wasn't a requirement back then. Top up the oil on your gearbox. I think there's so many little intricacies to this motorcycle that just get me very excited. Cool. I can never imagine being lucky enough to own something like this. Maybe one day. Anyway, it's kind of cool from an engineering standpoint. I'll just bore you one last time. I forget what this technology is called, but if you're a plumber, you'll tell me. But obviously back then, welding wasn't a thing, so you'll notice that everything is bolted together. But again, I forget what this technology was called, but I'm guessing back then, whatever they've done here in bending the pipes, I mean, oh my gosh, bending the frame. But it was ahead of the game. Check out your rear brake. So it's like a piece of rubber that gets pushed against the final drive, the inside of the final drive. And it's been used. You can see that there's actual paint missing. Amazing. Whoever owns that is a very lucky person.